within energy. And I think it's a good idea to acknowledge who we have in the room. So we have 3 specific groups in the room. We have those of you who registered for the program, and you're here for a series of 9 workshops. There's others of you here, and welcome. Thank you for being here, and thank you for registering for the program. And then there are those of you who are here just for the evening. You've come in for tonight. This is it for you. And we welcome you and thank you for being here. And then the third group of people, who are probably the ones who haven't gotten here yet, so they won't hear this. You're here to test it out, see what it is, to see if it's something that you actually want to participate in over time. So welcome everybody, and let's just acknowledge people for the energy that we can muster up with a little bit of noise, right? Woohoo! Yes. Yes, indeed. So we have a lot going on tonight, you guys. In your brochure, if you would, just take a look at it with me. Now, those of you who are live streaming, you don't have the brochure, but you do have in an email the dates of each program and the times. So I guess I should let you all know in the room that we are live streaming for people who are either not local or chose not to be in the room, but they want to be in the program. And how that's working in this moment, we hope that it progresses to get better, but in this moment, Leonard, right over here, is managing those group of people, and they will be a group. The tables you're sitting at will be your group for the evening, okay? Everybody has the dates, times. Is there any questions, for those of you who are in it for the full series, are there any questions about the dates and times? Any confusion? Okay, so I'm going to get you prepared for what might confuse you in the future. So if you'll just look up here and be with me. After every class, like around midnight, you will get an email as a follow-up to that class. It will have on there your assignments, even though you're going to leave with your assignments. It might have it's not a might. It will have a link to a recording, because every session you will get a new meditation recording, and it will be linked to that email. In addition to the link in the email, there's a web page. So if you go to the Stages of Love, we'll give you directions later, you don't need it now. There's a full page that shows every class, every recording, every assignment. Okay? So I think we have that covered as far, and also all the dates and times. Okay? So tonight, we're here together live. Hello. But next week, as you can see on the dates here, just notice August 11th, which is next Thursday, August 18th, August 25th, will all be by webinar. And you'll receive an invitation in your email. It's a very simple invitation. And so far, everybody who's on tonight, nobody had any problems. So I'm trusting that nobody in the room is going to have any problems either. But if you do, we'll work it out. Okay? One other thing that I want to tell you. So I kind of got sidetracked, which I never do. So after every class around midnight, you'll get an email. My request, now this part's important, please. Open that email as soon as you can. I mean, you don't have to open it at midnight. But please don't wait a day or two, because I have it set up on a specific trigger. Because there's a change in the middle of the week, and you'll get a reminder email of that change. But if you open your email at some ungodly day, it will throw it off. So is there any problem with you can do it on your phone or anywhere, just open it. Okay? All right, great. And if you don't worry, it's not going to screw up anything that bad. Everything's fixable. All right, any questions about, yes?
I can see that I have a conflict with one of the webinars. So how do we need to communicate that to you so you know we won't be on?
I'd like to know that you're not going to be at a class or webinar, if you're able.
Okay.
And every single one will be recorded. Okay?
Got it. So will we
But
still
you'll
get the
realize,
email and all
yeah,
that?
you'll get a follow-up and everything. But what you want to know, and you'll know tonight, that it is experiential versus conceptual. So there's work that you'll be doing that watching the webinar, you might want to include somebody with you to do it. But again, we're not going to worry about those things. We'll deal with those things when those come up.
Okay.
But that answers your question. Yeah, Gene.
Could you repeat the secondary title of this course?
Living within energy.
Living within energy.
Yeah, living within energy. You're welcome. So, the intention for tonight, well, how about the intention for this series, is to distinguish energy such that we get our hands on the levers and dials of what it takes to create with non-physical energy. Tonight, we're going to distinguish energy, but I forgot exactly how I had it written. Oh, that's it. We're going to distinguish energy because we all have a notion of energy. In fact, the people in this room all have not more than a notion. All of you have studied things, learned things, believed things. You have some idea or concept of what energy is to you. So, in a few moments, not yet, we are going to do some work around what that is. But before we do, we want to generate the promises of the program, and then we're going to generate the agreements that we're asking you to make. So is there anybody in the room that wants to generate the promises? Anybody like to do that? You don't have to, of course, right? Okay. The promises of the program. Number 1, you will leave the series operating at a higher vibrational frequency. That's a promise. Number 2, you will be conscious of the non-physical world. And number 3, you will perceive yourself, everyone, and everything as energy rather than objects separated by empty space. And then Charlie's going to come up and he's going to generate for us the agreements. Yes? Come on up. Yeah, please. Is somebody sitting there or no? Oh, she is. Okay. Or either you here or she there. You need each other. Go ahead, Charlie, right here.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, Charlie.
Woohoo!
So these are the workshop agreements. The workshop agreements, be it all the class sessions.
Okay, so we talked about that, and we know that everybody's not going to be able to be at all of them, and we're going to work it out however you need to work it out. So why is it an agreement? Well, in order to fulfill on the promises, I want you to be interactive. When you're not here or not on the webinar, it's going to be hard to be interactive. But I promise to work out whatever we need to so everybody gets the program, okay?
Be in communication and available for communication.
Now, everybody in this room, mostly I know most of you, there's no problem with communication. So we got nothing going on about that. Go ahead.
Be coachable.
So being coachable, what does it mean? In every program we've ever done together, we say this thing, be coachable. And when you distinguish being coachable, you can think of it a lot of different ways. What do you hear when I ask you to be coachable? What do you hear? Yeah, Joe.
Giving up any preconcepts I might have around energy.
Giving up any concepts that I already have regarding what we're doing. Okay?
Being open to new ideas.
Being open to new ideas, that would be correct. Yeah, Robert?
Don't be a resistor.
Don't be resistant. Well, okay. Probably. Yeah.
Surrendering your ego and identity.
Vondia says to surrender your ego and your identity. Good luck. All right. Yeah, Gene, go ahead. Last
I
one.
was just gonna say to get off it when if I'm on something and I'm trying to hear what you're having to say, to get off it.
To get off it. Okay, very good. All of those things would be accurate. The only reason I want to distinguish it with you a little bit different is because we are in a different program and we're using some of the same language. And I just want to make sure that when we use some of the same language, we're using it in the context it's intended. Not to mess you up, but what we mean by being coachable is this. Myself, Rasha, Charlie, and Joanne, who happens to be on the webinar, so you can't see her at the moment, we've all done the program. And as we did the program, we reported on what was working, what wasn't, and we tweaked it along the way. There are stumbling blocks that we've encountered, that we've experienced, that we've left in the program because what we realized was they matter to the promises getting fulfilled. So to coach you in this context is about supporting you through those stumbling blocks. That's really all it is that you listen to us as somebody who already ran this trail. And that's all. We haven't done anything great. We're not any better. God knows after this one's over, we'll learn a lot of things we didn't know before. But one thing for certain is the promises got fulfilled. That's for certain. And that's all we care about for you. Okay? Any questions about that one? Okay.
Honor the confidentiality of those in the course.
Of course. We want to be able to be open. We want to be able to express ourselves freely. And a lot of people in the room are connected to people who are connected to people who are connected to people. So we trust in each other that there will be confidentiality held in the room.
Complete all the assignments weekly.
Okay, now this one. I even try to come up like, what would be a new word for assignment? What would be something versus homework? Do you know there's a country that did away with homework for their school kids? Did y'all hear about that?
No.
Well, you're not going to hear about it now, but it's really awesome. It's really awesome. So the idea behind the assignments are you're shifting some habits. So think about it. You and I are well versed in the physical reality, are we not?
Yep.
All of us know how to pick up this table and move it. We know how to knock it over. If we wanted to, we could slam glasses against the wall. We're good at that stuff. Some of us really good at it. But mostly, none of us are really good in the non-physical world. So I really got into that conversation I was just having, and I just fell into a really deep hole. And I have no idea where I was going from there. So somebody's got to help me out of this hole.
Completing assignments.
Yes, thank you, God.
A different
Thank you,
way.
God. Okay, so the assignments, like I said, we'll do the course. You'll hear the assignments. The assignments will be written. 24 hours later, you're going to see them on an email. That's on purpose. It's on purpose. It's not on purpose because you got so much you have to do, but there is a shift in habits. There is something I'm going to be asking you to do that's different than the way you ordinarily do. Therefore, please, if you're in the course for the whole course, whatever it takes for you to do the assignments. Listen, it's a 9-week course. You can do anything for 9 weeks. Really, you could. And to fulfill on what we're promising, it's worth it. Agreed?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Go ahead.
Be ready to begin at our start time and be at all the class sessions.
I'm sorry. Be ready to start.
At our start time.
Okay, good. So this is especially important on the webinar. If you will, on your webinars, if you're able to be 10 minutes early, you can just put stuff on mute and you can do stuff, whatever you need. Why? Because until you've done it once or twice, you might stumble. You might get kicked out. You might dial the wrong number. There's all kinds of things the first time through that you want to allow for. So if you would, be 10 minutes early so we can start on time and actually get the work done that we have to get done. Okay.
Don't multitask or be otherwise distracted while on the webinars.
Yeah. Now, the beautiful thing about the webinar is you can turn on your camera and we can see you and you can see us. So what's good about it, not like we're watching you. No, not like that. But when you can see each other, you're more engaged. It's just a natural more engagement. So that helps a lot right there. But all of us have been on conference calls, and all of us know that on conference calls it's easy to get distracted, to multitask. I, of course, never do that. But I know some of you probably do.
You've heard about it.
Yeah, I've heard about it. I've heard about it, and I heard that it's really not a good idea if you want to get all the information. Right? Okay.
And lastly, be at all the class sessions.
Okay, thank you, Charlie. No, it's So in the program, what we're going to do is we're going to learn is the right word. We're going to develop 5 intuition skills. These are printed on your sheet there. The first one is heart consciousness. And by the way, these are in order of how they're going to get worked out. So the first one is heart consciousness. The second one is the art of feeling. The third one is mindfulness. The fourth one, true forgiveness. And the last one, coherence. Now, if you're here just for the evening, what you're going to get is heart consciousness. And you will leave here tonight having distinguished energy as non-physical energy. But it will be experiential. Okay, so here's where we're going to start. And you're going to start working with the people online. There's all the knowledge in the room that people have with regard to energy. You've learned about it. You've read about it. You have opinions about it. You have some knowledge or some belief in what non-physical energy is. So with your tables, the groups of 3, and those of you live streaming, you are a group together. I'd like for you to discuss what is energy. How do you use it? What is it? Where does it show up? What's the difference between physical energy, non-physical energy? Create a conversation around energy. We're going to take about 10 minutes. And if you would, go ahead and do that now.
We're good. So physical energy, meaning like pushing and pulling and that kind of thing, I guess. Okay. This has me incredibly intrigued because I know very little. I don't work in that realm. Or I do, I just am not aware of it, you know. But I know, like, certain people, depending on how they're feeling or their conversation, I can feel my energy go down, or like people that suck the life out of you. I mean, or there's certain people that you walk in and it's like your heart, like I saw you, my heart smiled. It's like, oh, it's Susie. You know, there's just that energy, that connection that just yay! And it just is this, just this opening of your heart, I guess. And so that would be a kind of energy. But
That's pretty close. That's really good.
you know, in terms of like, you know, the quantum physics of how our atoms are vibrating and holding things together, I'm like, you know,
I don't know if
Deepak
that's what he
Chopra,
means, but yeah.
I'm not really good with that part, and that's probably more physical. So that's kind of it. But I have to say, I'm really excited about this because it occurs to me that I do not do anything to develop these, and I'm not very intuitive. You know, I don't.
I would have to disagree
Okay.
because I think everybody is intuitive.
I'm not saying I'm not. I'm saying I haven't developed it, and I don't use it. I'm not aware of it.
Oh, okay.
I don't know that disregard, but I'm doing other things, and it's like, so this is awesome to just really,
And just get into it.
yeah, really experience it. So yeah.
I've been into energy for a very long time.
Okay.
And so, you're right. It's like energy is a feeling. You saw me, how excited you were. That is energy. Love is energy. The feeling of excitement. The energy when you see somebody that you don't like.
Yeah.
Anger.
It just tense up.
Yeah,
It's like just that.
that's energy.
Yeah.
How you feel, you know, sometimes you feel like you know, all of a sudden get a headache and you don't know why. Or like you said, someone's sucking the life right out of you. We all have auras around us, and we're all interconnected.
Yeah.
And so, I don't want to say more because I don't want to influence you, but yeah, you're right. I think about, you know, how on just a basic level, how energy is, how prayer is energy, love is energy, excitement's energy, how we feel tired all of a sudden when we're talking to somebody, or what else is good energy? Like all of a sudden you go, you know, out of the blue.
A girl I work with, too, you said you've worked with energy for a long time. She had her 2 sons, twins, a lot of allergies, really sick, and so she took them to every holistic, both Western and people did energy work on them, like movies. And some of us talked about that, you know, which I just find incredibly intriguing, that how moving things around actually shifts
It doesn't
how
shift
you
it.
are. It's like, you know, and like grounding energy. I mean, I find it fascinating. I'm incredibly curious, and I don't have any level of connection with it.
I actually owned a business called Bone Therapy, and it's nothing but energy. And you use your thumbs and your finger to allow the energy to move, but it is actually moving energy, moving it out.
So it's not a massage.
It's not a massage. It's basically, may I?
Yeah.
You just basically blow the energy. But you're doing it with 2 thumbs and a finger. So your fingers and you feel the muscle. And that's
So what does moving the muscle do?
It's just, you're bowing it, you're moving it, and you're allowing the energy from cellular level to move up and move out. And it's energy. And you're not massaging it, and it's not pressure points. It's just, it's a different kind of modality.
Wow.
And you can do it all the way through the whole body. You're taught and learned. Grounding, meditation, grounding cords. Right?
Grounding what?
Chords. Okay, so I'm
that
getting
music?
No, grounding chords is how you ground energy out. So I'm getting to
No, well, we'll have to have further conversations because I find it fascinating. I just don't have any experience with that. Do you still practice it and use it regularly?
Yeah, all the time.
I mean, it seems like it would be, once you have that, it's your life, you know, it's like there.
every day. It's an everyday practice.
Wow.
Every day. I ground and I pray and I ground and I meditate and I start my day releasing the energy and bringing in energy, positive energy.
Really cool.
There's negative energy, there's positive energy.
Yeah.
Of course, you don't want the negative, but there's a balance between.
Can you shift energy, like all the crazy that's going on in the world? Can you? Is there a way to, other than prayer, to create the space for the negative to
leave?
be more love filled, or I don't know. Just curious.
That's what prayer is energy anyway.
Yeah.
But no matter if you're doing it in a loving way or not, or if you're doing it in a loving way in any way, that's still.
Is there like a ripple effect?
It is. It's still and you can
2 more minutes.
positive energy out to the world. More the better.
Seems like if everybody did that, the whole world would be different.
The whole world would be different.
Wow.
But we are human beings, and we seem to react to disasters to make it better. I don't know why that is. Have you noticed that through the history?
Yeah. We get complacent or comfortable, and disasters create unselfishness, generosity, compassion, harmony. Yeah. So it's like you need that to shake up the status quo, I think.
Yeah. It
Would be
seems
my
like
guess.
it, huh?
It does, yeah. Because you always hear about these horrific things and then these amazing
Yeah.
acts of unselfishness, or people gave their life, or people, 27 people stayed at somebody's house, or whatever,
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
It's like,
Don't you just love Facebook?
for sure. Before we left, the TV was on, and there's a meme. The little boy that's doing this. He was 9 months old, and it's called the success meme. And so 9 years ago is when this meme came out. Well, his dad needed money. He finally got a kidney transplant, but apparently you can't have a kidney transplant without having sufficient money to afford the rejection drug.
Right.
And that's not covered by insurance.
Right.
And so
My brother had that.
so they did a GoFundMe, and because of this
Please
little
wrap it up.
meme thing, they raised
Wrap it
this
up.
little picture, because they had, the guy said, hey, what can you do this for my dad? From 9 years ago.
And he got the money?
$100 and some thousand.
Please wrap it up.
So a meme
Facebook. So it's been on Facebook, and it's this little 9-month-old boy. You'll probably
Okay.
see it.
Oh, okay.
Look up here.
Because it's a story that
So
he
for
saves his
sharing,
dad, kind of
do
thing.
you prefer this on the ground, or do you prefer to come up here?
Ground.
This stage is probably better.
Well, what I'm really asking is, what will keep you in your seat, and what would get you up here? See, like if it's up here, you might say,
Candy?
I don't know. Huh?
Candy?
Candy.
Candy.
All right, moving right along. Let me hear from a couple of you.
We can get you
and if
cookies.
you're willing to come up here and just share whatever came up for you about energy. What is it? How do you use it? How is it distinct? And you can move that thing anywhere you want it. Who's going to do it? Come on. Okay, Ginny. Yay!
I usually have a lot of stuck energy around the microphone.
Yeah.
So I decided to break free.
Yes. Thank you.
So we talked a lot about, energy, and a lot about feeling other people's energy, and kind of distinguishing that between our own energy and other people's energy, sometimes feeling overwhelmed by it, being...
So when you feel somebody else's energy, what does that feel like?
Well, it depends on the energy, whether it's...
Okay, just make one up.
Okay, so anger.
So somebody might be angry, and if you are experiencing that energy, somebody else's energy, what is that like?
For me, I get like a tightness in my chest.
Okay, so you have contraction.
Yeah, contraction. I wouldn't say just, I would say like all of the upper area I feel really contracted. And then depending on how forceful it is, I can get it in my, my gut as well.
Mhm.
And
But would you agree, and it doesn't have to be exact, but would you agree that it starts in your chest area?
Absolutely.
Okay. Anything else?
With anger energy. Well, it depends on how long it goes and how intense it is.
So-
but just like someone yells at me, that's pretty much my first.
Okay, so when you talk about what you're talking about they're angry with you.
Yeah.
So they're actually,
Yes.
the anger is
Directed.
directed at you. Very good.
But I also would feel that way even if it's not directed.
So
at me a
if
lot.
it's not directed at you, you still have contractions in the body, right? Okay, and the contractions seem to start in the chest. And then if it's really lingering, it could go into the gut and then maybe other places too. Very good. Thank you. Acknowledge me. Somebody else. Who? I can't see. Yeah, come on up. You're in the wings over there.
Yes, waiting in the wings. Hi. So I think your question, if I remember, is the difference between physical and non-physical energy.
Good enough.
And
Yes.
to me, they're the same thing. I'm not sure I can distinguish a difference.
Okay.
I do think there are physical energies that scientists have been able to measure, and we can see, feel, have dials do this, whatever. But when I think of energy, I think of it all as physical. It's just we don't have a way to physically relate to it yet.
Right. So our perceptions might be limited. So there might be a range of energy, vibrational frequencies,
Right.
some of which we're in tune with, designed to perceive. Others, at this point, we either don't know how to perceive, or maybe we're perceiving them and we don't know how to distinguish it because it's been there our whole life.
Right. It could be just the water we swim in.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, in some of the meditations that many of you have done with me, there's the one where we say, get in touch with feeling sensations in the body. And I don't know how it is for you. I can just say for me, and this is going to be one of the meditations that we'll do during the course. One of the things that I noticed in the beginning was I had to feel specific things. Like, for instance, I can feel my tush against the stage, right? I can feel my feet on the floor. I can feel the pressure on my hands. There were very specific things. But the more I did that meditation, it got to a point where I was feeling stuff. Like, there's lots of stuff going on in your body. I mean, a lot of movement, a lot of jittering, jiggling, even probably noises and sounds and things that, because it's the water we swim in, unless it's loud or painful, it doesn't necessarily get our conscious attention like that. So very good. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Mine gets louder and louder the older I get.
One more. Yeah, Susan.
Well, as far as feeling energy from other people, I think you get more in tune to it as a child. I feel that I was, but I noticed it in my granddaughter. She when she was about 2 years old, she was on one end of the playground, another kid was on the other end of the playground, but all of a sudden, they never spoke a word, they disappeared together. They made some agreement, and they never spoke. So,
So are you saying then, when we're younger, we have a wider range of perception?
yes.
And then as we get older, we take with the energy we perceive that doesn't seem to affect us, we ignore, kind of like sound.
Yeah.
There's sound going on all the time, right? But there's a lot of sounds you and I just tune out because we have learned over time that those don't affect us, whatever they might be. The sound of traffic, perhaps, it becomes in the background, or dogs barking, unless that's unusual. So once it becomes usual, we tune it out.
I think that's it.
Very good. Thank you.
Because she just brought that to my attention that, oh yeah, I used to do that.
Got it. Thanks. All right.
So she didn't just put that.
So, very interesting. The very first thing that was brought up was the expression of an emotion. Anger. And in that expression, you and I perceive it, pick it up, interpret it, and then, of course, just by the nature of how human beings are, we make up a story about it, especially if it's directed at you. Well, actually, even if it's not directed at you, right? Would you agree that if, in fact, everything is energy, which, by the way, makes absolutely no difference to any of us if we can't distinguish it. See, we can talk about it. Everything's energy. And I think everybody in the room say, yeah, it is. And then I think it was David Buki was in the room in March, and he said, so what? And he's right. So what? I mean, if everything's energy but you can't distinguish it, then who cares? What can you do with it? All you got is some knowing, something you can talk about perhaps, but nothing that we have our hands on the levers and dials of. So it was great when you brought up anger, because consider that emotions are all the same energy. It just is low intensity to a high intensity. And maybe you can perceive something before the anger is felt or expressed. And that we just never have done it. It happens so fast. So there's feelings and there's emotions. So what's the difference between a feeling and an emotion? Somebody.
Is one inward and one outward?
Okay, good. Maybe. Somebody else? The difference between a feeling and an emotion. Dave?
A feeling might have like an opinion with it, a belief.
A feeling might be connected to a story. Maybe. Joe?
Perception.
A perception? Maybe.
And an emotion could describe what the feeling is.
An emotion could describe what a feeling is, perhaps. One more? Yeah, Ann?
A feeling is an adjective and an emotion is a noun.
Oh, wow. This is going way, that's great. But I'm going to now just, yeah, go ahead. Last one, Susie.
I'm just a feeling is like the energy around you, and the emotion is attached to it.
Okay, the feeling is the energy around you, and the emotion is what you attach to it.
Right.
Okay. Here's the distinction, and this is the distinction we'll be using in this course between a feeling and an emotion. They're very similar, but a feeling is fleeting, while an emotion is deep and lingers. Now, can I have an angry feeling versus an angry emotion?
Yes.
And what's the difference, using this distinction if you can, okay? What's the difference between angry feeling versus the angry emotion? Yeah.
One's like, I think of micro-expressions in people. For a minute you're angry, like with dealing with a 2-year-old doing something that you don't like. But then the emotion is you love them and that takes over. Even though you're angry, you might spank their hand.
Very good. So you have this instant that one might call anger, but it's fleeting, And the emotion that you attach to it is love because it's this 2-year-old kid and you love that child. Very good. Excellent. Somebody else. The difference between an angry feeling versus an angry emotion.
Well, your feeling is like, that cut me off. That made me angry. My wife makes me wrong, I'm emotional about it. And it's like deep inner turmoil, like it's brings all my past angers. And
Yeah. Ed?
I don't know if it's accurate, but one thing that I'm thinking of, my wife always hits me on the way to work is, if somebody cuts me off, I'll have an instant feeling of, what a jerk. The emotion is when I'm like, look at that asshole, blah, blah. Suddenly I'm throwing it back out at him, and she'd be like, take that back, take that energy back. Because you can get mad, but it's when you suddenly do that, then I'm suddenly...
Yeah, very good. So in this course, we will all be practicing together the art of letting go. And those of you who have been working with me one-on-one, one of the things that you've determined already for yourself, that it's much easier to let go of a feeling than it is to let go of an emotion.
Is an emotion a learned pattern? So it's learned and then, so it would be different families, different cultures, it's a pattern that's learned? Is it
I think that the whole system that we're going to distinguish later in the course called a feeling habit is exactly what you're talking about. It has 4 levels. The first level is the feeling. The second level is the emotion. The third level are thoughts that are connected to the emotion. And the fourth are stories that add glue to keep it in place. So as a family, we have a multitude of stories. And the stories, because they're collective and cultural, carry the same thoughts and emotions. So from that angle, absolutely. Now, you're going to learn the 4 levels, and you're going to practice them later on. Don't get hung up in them now. I want you mostly now to really get in touch with feelings. Because I'm going to tell you something that I have learned just in working with people and using this distinction. We have a hard time catching our feelings because it's so surface and fleeting. It happens so fast. So if I say to you, we're going to practice letting go, and you're talking about anger, then you might have this deep, lingering emotion of anger, and you're trying to let go of it, and you find that you can't. See, because if you take a look again at the 4 levels, I like to use a swimming pool analogy. The top of the pool is the feelings, that's the surface. You go a little deeper, you hit the emotions. You go a little deeper, you now add thoughts. So now you have the feeling that kicked off the emotions, with now the thoughts going around it, and now the stories, now at your bottom of the pool. A lot harder to let go. So what I want us to start from the get-go is being able to notice the feeling and see how quick we can let go of the feeling. Like you said, Kathy, which I think would be great for us to keep in existence for ourselves. You get mad at a 2-year-old, but you literally let it go. And you evoke, you generate the love that you have for that child. We don't do that for our adult people. We have more expectation. And of course, this isn't about for somebody else. This is about for you. It's about how much more of our life will we spend wasting the energy that we have. Seriously. Like, how much of our energy will we continue to use resisting, avoiding, making wrong, and trying to change what seems to be reality? What if ultimately, at the end of the series, what you find for yourself is a new honor for life unfolding. And I'll just say this one little thing, and I hesitate to do it, but I'm going to do it anyway, and I'll just suffer the consequences if there are any. So, since this course, I've noticed myself becoming more God conscious. And a lot of things have come up on our calls, the design team calls, and I'm not going to drag all of them through. But one thing I distinguish for myself that has given me a lot of power is that God is life unfolding. And every moment of life unfolding that I give myself the right to disagree with or give myself the right to dishonor robs me of aliveness. So that leads us into...
I just want to stand up and go, yay!
Yeah. Leads us into our next investigation. And that is love. Rasha, do we have the handout with the 7?
I don't even know why I bother.
Okay. So we're going to take some time to look at love. What is love? You know, the Greek we found 5 and then we found 7 different kinds of love. Whether you have them, know them, or not makes no difference, really, not for this. But for you, when you look at love from different angles, you know, there's the intimate love, there's the friend love, there's family love. But I want you to dig in together. What is love really? We're going to take 10 minutes and do that, okay? And you're back on.
Did you understand what he meant about God? Okay.
I know for me, it just, I mean, I relate to God, and I'm Christian, I'm Catholic with Jesus Christ and the Trinity, but how it occurred to me is that there's a connection to God in every moment, and life unfolding to His will to dishonor it or resist it basically takes that barrier for what God's trying to create in your life and allow to show up.
If you go a step further and
You okay?
take out all the religion and take out all the Christian, take out all that stuff, and God is
I'm going to elevate my foot.
He's us.
Okay.
More of an expression of love.
And I call that spirit. Right. But I totally get what you're saying.
Love to me is I had a dream, and I never experienced this kind of love before, and I guess I could call it not a premonition dream, but what are those dreams? What are they called? I'll just go ahead and. But anyway, the dream I had was I saw what I thought was God, and taking care of it, and I seen it in the dream that for some reason God was a woman and like a mother, and she showed me things that was going on for me. She never left my side, and she showed me step by step through my life that she had always been there.
Wow.
And no matter what was going on for me, and I could see that the energy inside me was pure love and wasn't touched. But the outside of me is being affected because of the world. But I could see that the spirit of my soul was touched the love, and through my life I was watching her take care of me. And that was love. That's love.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I've never experienced anything like that before. The unconditional.
It's interesting. I had so, mine is quite so amazing. I had a dream.
Did you have a dream?
I had a dream. I have a dream.
I had a dream too.
And I was in danger. People were trying to kill me. And forget about this. I was tied up and laying like on this, and there was this big old-time pink Cadillac, like with the fins and everything, and it was hovering over me, and I was going to die. It was going to kill me, and God didn't look like anything other than I just prayed to God. I said, okay, God, if this is, if this is
what's going to happen, it's going to happen, yeah.
It was just, kind of to his point, it was just a release.
Yeah.
It was just a release of, and to your point, it was that energy inside that pure love. I was no longer afraid to die. Even now, I'm not. I mean, that has lasted, and it was the most.
Doesn't it last?
It was the most complete, head to toe, every cell, this feeling of love and peace and just power and a knowing.
What did it look like? I mean,
it was like light being generated, radiating, like aliveness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like it was bring on the Cadillac. I mean, there was no fear, absolutely no fear. It was absolute complete peace and connection. And
when did you have that dream?
Probably a year ago.
I had mine about 6 months ago, 8 months ago, yeah.
So, of course, mine's going to be this big Cadillac, and, you're getting basically your life recreated, but that's okay. Well, I have this.
There was a reason why that was happening.
Well, I got nothing why it was a pink Cadillac or whatever, but that feeling I will never forget. And I had an experience once where I was laying on my bed and I was kind of meditating on candles, and I was just laying there. And I know I wasn't asleep. And there was this big black square that came over me. And I call it my comforter of death, okay? So I'm on my bed, and you know how that lead thing that when you go to the dentist's office? It was about 100 times more, and this horrible black thing was pushing me into my bed. And every feeling of anger, despair, and hatred and resentment was all wrapped up in this thing that was touching me. And I was like so scared, and I was it was like swallowing me whole. And the only thing I could do was pray the Our Father. And it instantly disappeared. And I was like, okay, that was really weird, And then I had this peace. Again, not to the same extent as that dream, but there was peace about, and I rolled over to go to sleep. About 10 minutes later, that little sucker came back.
Oh, wow.
I know, it was very persistent. And I just, boom, right into Our Father, and it was gone, and I've never had that again. But that was like some crazy stuff. Like, wow, and I wasn't drinking or anything.
No, that's energy. That's energy coming at you. And the love that you feel for them, the love is what 2 more minutes.
And I think it's more the, I guess we the love but the trust. Just okay. I think it was just the submission because it was like, okay, this is like, but yeah, there was actually, but it wasn't as, the feeling of love was,
We trusted too.
there was love and gratitude more in the comforter of death versus the Cadillac falling on me.
That is so funny.
I'm like, really? A comforter? Are you kidding me? Other people get demons, and I get the comforter of death. but it was amazing. It's like crazy. But yeah, I just love, to me, is just
Okay, wrap it up.
connection. Just in its just
Wrap it up.
it's acceptance. Yeah. And nothing in the way.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
it is.
what is love? Yeah. Will you? Yeah. So we can tease it out a little bit.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Jeannie.
You know, what comes up for me, and especially, it's not something that I've actually asked, so it's really great to ask the question. I'm just like, what is energy? Let's see if at first, we were talking about it as an emotion, as this feeling, and it shifts with different people, different feelings. But, for me, in the end, I think of it actually as an energy. Because I feel it as an energy. I mean, there's feelings and emotions around it, but so that's just what came up for me.
Would it be fair to say that it's an energy that evokes emotion?
Yes.
Would it also be fair to say that in and of itself, maybe it's not an emotion at all? Thank you.
There's a lot of words to describe it. Verb, noun.
Yeah.
So for me, love is just like, it is God. It is source. And it's the only thing that's real.
Mm-hmm.
And anything else is an illusion that keeps us separate from love.
Yeah.
But it's always there.
Right?
Yep.
Very good. Excellent. Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, Charlie.
I don't really know if I know what love is, but
Right.
But I've been practicing forgiveness and acceptance, and it's like my world is opening, and it occurs to me like love, especially like self-love and self-forgiveness.
Mm-hmm. Really good. Thank you. So did you find that in your groups, as you tried to have this conversation, that love kind of eludes us? Like the meaning of love kind of eludes us. However, when the barriers or the blocks to the experience of love are removed, being aware of love, we can all do. So there's an awareness of it, but to try to describe it and say what it is, not so easy, because it eludes us. So what we've come up with so far as a group, and we're open to hearing anybody else, is that love is a kind of energy that evokes emotion, that love is actually the source, which would be God, and is the only thing that's real. Anybody else? Anything you want to throw into the mix? What is love?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, over in the wings. Thank you.
So it occurred to me that maybe love is a biological imperative to survive.
Say it again, a biological.
It's a drive that we're imbued with to survive. We love our children because our children grow up and pass on their DNA or their RNA at least. And maybe if they live long enough, they'll take care of us.
Yeah.
And maybe we love others, and not in a Machiavellian sense, but we love others so that they will love us and take care of us. So maybe it's a force that we're given and we share for survival.
So then we could add to the mix love as survival. Because it could be said, a baby, you have a baby.
Yeah, they won't survive
And the
without
baby
it.
but the baby has really no actual concept of love, and yet we are that the baby loves us. When in reality, its survival calls for it. So it would be one kind of love. So we're seeing many different things that fit what is love, but we've got to boil down to what is the distinction love that we're talking about. Because isn't everything on the board accurate? And there's more that we haven't even expressed that would be accurate. Was there anything from the live stream that you wanted to share on behalf of your group? Just so I don't leave them out. I just realized I hadn't included them and I went.
No.
No, okay, very good. So then, we're going to put love to bed for a second, because it's going to be a longer conversation in a few moments. But we're going to now get into fear. So you brought up anger earlier, Lisa. One of my favorites. Anger is one of my favorite conversations now. Dave.
Great.
Oh, great. Yeah, Ray loves that. Okay. I'm so happy for you, Tom. Got a new topic. But what is fear? If you start dealing with emotions and energy, and there's not a one of us who haven't expressed being afraid or having fear in some way, but we talk about it very conceptually. What is it? What is fear? So back to your little family, your 10-minute huddle. What is fear?
Okay.
Fear is definitely an energy.
I think it would be the energy that stops. It's the energy that stops. Love stops. Action stops. Because it just occurs that it's designed. It's driven by doubt.
What?
I said it occurs like it's driven by doubt. Which you're back down into the thoughts if you do the 4-layer thing. But it's the energy, the emotion that you feel creates a paralysis in whatever is the catalyst that's generating that.
Could have been said that it disconnects us from the truth.
Absolutely.
Love.
I mean, I would say that that's probably its main goal.
Right. And that's what I'm getting to.
Yeah, it's
also fear is
it's
also
a barrier.
I think it could be an emotion too, because like my mom was fear of flying, and my first time flying, I flew with her, and she was so mad at me. It wasn't even funny. I mean, because I was like, yay, we're going up, And my mom was so mad at me because I wasn't in her fear with her. But later on in life, it showed up. The fear of flying showed up.
For you?
For me.
Interesting.
And I think that fear can stem from the emotions from our parents, grandparents, and it gets into our own thought process. And then we sometimes don't even know why we're fearful. We're just going, I got fear in my face.
People think we're always anxious. People that are really anxious a lot. It's like,
yeah, and they have no idea why. No. And it's because it's not even theirs. Like my mom's flying was not even about me. I love to fly. But my mom's fear ended up in my space. In me. And I had to work through that. But I think that when you have love, there's no fear.
And the connection to love needs to be stronger. Right. Or look more conscious of that than the fear. Because the other thing is, 100% of the time the things that you fear, it's the dread and everything leading up to it is so much worse than whatever you're thinking, which usually never happens anyway.
Attached to emotions.
I have.
Mostly everybody fears about everything. Bills.
When I was 5, I took swimming lessons, and we had to climb up to the top of the high dive and jump off. And I went up the ladder, didn't know that I had a fear of heights, and I don't really have a fear of heights, but I had a fear of jumping off that, and I started crying, and I turned around and came down, and everybody laughed and made fun of me, and it's like, and
I did the opposite. I was 5 and I jumped.
Yeah, see,
the highest.
Yeah, that was not who I was, and it's like it created this whole like my conversation is don't laugh at me. With the secondary one, it doesn't matter anyway. So everything I do is about 80% because I don't laugh at me. But don't laugh at me. It's like, no, I'm just saying that's you know. And I got, oh my God! I reviewed the advanced course and I got there. And I was just like, that makes so much sense. Explains so much.
Well, did you ever get to why you had fear jumping?
Nope. I just was afraid.
Was it maybe you saw something when you were 5? See, that's what I'm saying. Fear is usually stemmed from a past life if you've lived in that. Or
I do.
Or if you fell out of something really high.
You know, especially I think for men,
or something was on TV when you were little.
I don't know. I have to look because I don't know. I actually don't have any experience of that. I mean, I climbed trees when I was a kid. You know, up to the.
I saw you falling out of a tree too. That's funny that you said that.
But I never fell out of a tree.
Oh, you could have when you passed life.
Oh, that's true. Oh.
Because the minute I was saying it,
yeah, because with this huge tree in our backyard, I just watching it. So, but it's like the fun. I just would imagine. So
that's probably how you
there's
died.
Something there. Well, then that's pretty darn smart of me. Oh my God, that's so funny.
I'm going back.
Are you kidding me?
I'm not doing this again.
That could be true. And I loved to climb trees as a kid. Oh my
really?
God, yes.
Yeah, I liked it too.
So it's like, it wasn't the height, I think it was the drop. The drop. Because I don't like Ferris wheels or roller coasters. I don't like the drop.
Oh, really?
So it's about the drop. Yeah.
I believe in past life too. I think it's some water. There's some water out here.
I don't know. Hello. Check and see.
Yeah, I mean, that's like some of the intuition, right? You don't want to be vulnerable and you don't feel so big. Yeah, it's not a service either. I raised two boys.
I'm good. I'm.
Anybody need more time?
That's amazing. It was.
Anybody need more time? Another minute or so.
Space, but it was okay. It was fine. I did, because I'm not a morning person, so don't make me talk. You're so kind. Thank you. Fear is a survival mechanism. It keeps you from dropping when you died in a past life, falling out of a tree, apparently. That was Tarzan.
Okay, come on back. You okay?
I'm
Come on
keeping
back.
this for Eric. He's probably capturing our conversation in here. He's part of our group.
So who will distinguish a little bit about fear? Okay, Kathy.
Well, it was kind of strange.
Come up here because I might want to
Yeah.
pull some things out, okay?
Okay. It was
Love
kind
my board, by the way, ladies.
It's very cool.
Love my board.
Size does matter.
Lisa, go. I need to recreate for those on the webinar. They can't hear you. She said size matters. I did not evoke that. I promise. Go ahead.
It was kind of unusual. Our whole table agreed that fear is, only time fear actually is when we're cut off from source. I don't, since I was fairly young and young adult, do not accept fear. Fear to me is not acceptable.
What does that mean?
It means if I'm standing at the edge of a cliff and I'm beginning to get nervous, I want to jump. I have to walk away. So it's a way I handle a momentary fear. I have a occasional physical fear of danger from, for instance, if I'm in a situation with a crazy person, which is not too often, but
More often than you think.
maybe. But I mean, usually I can go in places with people that a lot of other people would feel unsafe, and I'm safe, and I've done it.
Forgive me, guys, because I told you I'd recreate, and I haven't. Okay.
Okay.
And of course, there was so much that you said. But the one thing that Kathy said is that her table, they distinguished fear as being cut off from source.
Yes.
And she also distinguished that for herself, fear is not allowed.
No.
And the way I understood you, and you tell me if this is accurate, by not being allowed, what that means to you is that you sidestep it, walk away from it, bury it. What does that mean, it's not allowed?
I have a connection with source, like being in the light. I allow the light to come through me. So therefore, I very rarely can't think of a situation where I'm afraid.
I was climbing around.
So mostly then you're not afraid.
No.
If you have a momentary fear, what do?
Then instinct will come in.
Instinct kicks
Yes.
in.
If I'm with a dangerous person, a physically mad, angry, dangerous person, then
Dangerous
it takes
people.
a long time for me to get, maybe I need to get out of here.
Okay.
Okay? That's the only time. And that's not really fear, it's more like wisdom. For their sake as well as mine.
Well, you know, what I hear you saying is that there's really two kinds of fear in the moment. One kind of fear you're saying is being cut off from source.
Yes.
Another kind of fear I think I hear you saying is the fear one might have for their life.
Yes.
And
Or disability.
what do you mean disability?
Oh, somebody could not kill you, but they could sure damage you.
So danger. How about just danger in
danger,
general?
yeah.
So in Landmark we would say there's two kinds of fear. One's an authentic fear, one's an inauthentic fear.
Right.
Right? But that we're not distinguishing that here. We're going to use fear in a different way.
Yeah.
But I think I got what you were communicating. Very good. Thank you so much, Kathy. Really. Somebody else? What is fear? Yeah. Debbie. I have a space between, acknowledging and then saying people's names.
Yeah, did you feel my energy?
I did. I felt your energy. I'm really sensitive to it these days.
Deborah or Deb?
Oh, got it, Deb. No, Debbie. What the hell's wrong with you?
me. Okay. So I was thinking this morning I brought my granddaughter swimming lessons, and she is afraid. And her, the teacher asked her to do something, and her little body is shaking. And, she's doing this with her hands. It occurs to me that fear is definitely energy, a type of energy. And you can bring it in, you can let it go.
Yeah.
And sometimes doing things physically can help dissipate it. Or
so then, would you say it's something to get rid of?
Not necessarily.
Okay. Something to use?
I'm trying to think of an instance in which you would want to use fear. I mean, I suppose if you were in a race and you really, really wanted to win and you were afraid somebody was catching up, yeah, then you could use it. I'm sure there's lots of other fears.
So then, in that case, fear might be regarded as a kind of emotion. Or just like love, maybe fear can evoke emotion. So if you really want to win, and you have a fear that the person behind you is catching up, it's not really a fear, it's a fear that is evoking an emotion like, oh, no, you don't. Right? Kind of like that?
Yeah. Right. And now, I've got lots of times when fear can be useful. Fear.
This kind of fear can be useful.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Not like I need to agree. That's not what I mean.
Okay.
I got it. Thank you. Sure. Yeah, come on. We are working this out.
Well, we talked about how fear comes up. And I was telling Lisa about the story when I was 19 years old. I went on an airplane for the first time with my mom. And we were going up. And I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And I was just having a blast. My mom got really mad at me because she was really scared of flying. And she had fear in her, crazy fear. And, I look at her and her face is all white. She's about ready to throw up. And I'm going up, and I'm just having this great time. And then until about 3 years ago, I got on a plane again, and I had this fear. And I didn't want to get on a plane. I was scared to death. And I didn't know where the fear was coming from until I remembered that scenario. So her fear came into me. And then I had to work it out.
All right, so now, would it be fair to say, and I want everybody included here, that we could have a distinction afraid or scared versus fear. You know, I'm afraid to fly. Is it really the same as fear?
Sounds like it to me.
I know, because we don't have a distinction, fear versus afraid versus scared, and I'd like for us to create one.
Well, that'd be good.
No.
That's what we're doing. But we got to work out everything that's there already, right? Everything that we think, believe, and every truth. Because it's not like the things that you're saying are not truth. Yeah, this is not going to work every time, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, come on up, Tanya. And did I skip over you at some point?
No. Okay, because part of it was about the distinction you said we're not doing, and I think mine was in that realm.
Okay. Come along. There we go.
So where I think the difference is fear is like my reptilian brain back here. That's almost on a very primal level that I don't have to have have had some experience to know that, like, I'm just feeling afraid right now. Like or I'm feeling fear right now. If I'm distinguishing fear, I should use the right word. That, like, that's fear. Afraid and scared are things like, oh, I feel scared because, like, you know, my parents are fighting, or like whatever, like, or like I'm on a roller coaster or something that is like a
So you
learned.
said more primal. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Fear for you is more primal.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
like there doesn't have to be a reason. I don't have to be able to explain it. Like there's something that's being released that's almost kind of beyond my control.
But does it evoke afraid or scared?
Yes.
So,
Like
so
it can.
fear might be a kind of energy that we haven't quite distinguished yet, but it's always been there.
Right.
And the way you've related to it thus far is that it's primal, and its intensity will evoke a sense of being afraid or perhaps scared.
Right.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Got it. Thank you. Anybody else? Yeah, come on over. Is this working with you guys?
So we found it was almost easier to distinguish fear if we could juxtapose it to another emotion, which felt like love. Like fear and love being the opposite. And it felt like when we thought about fear, it felt like this very contracted feeling of pulled in and tight and small, and as opposed to love feeling very big and open, and that growth happens from love, and that from fear, growth could not happen very well because you're so contracted and pulled in to oneself.
Yeah.
And that we were getting into the feeling of what does it feel like to have
Good.
fear versus
Yes.
feeling love, and you feel very open and expansive and open to other people and to the world and to growth.
Exactly. This is going to be a key theme throughout the whole course, so you might write it down for yourself. What does it feel like? And remember, we have a distinction between feeling and emotion. A feeling, if you remember, is fleeting. It's surface and it's fleeting. Therefore, you and I feel the energy of love, or we feel the energy of fear, but before we know it, something else got evoked, and we call the something else the it. Therefore, we have no distinction for it. Very good. Thank you. Awesome. Good work, everybody. Anything you want to share from the live stream?
No, not at this time.
All right. So you take some notes because they had a lot of good stuff. We want to get them on the court. Yes.
I have a question. So, are you saying that the emotion of being afraid got in the mix?
So the question was, am I saying that being afraid got in the mix?
Yeah, kind of the emotion of Because if
Well, what I was saying was, and I'm not saying it's a fact, you understand?
You're right,
This
no.
really is an investigation that we all need to like just look and see. But based on what I heard, it sounded like there's a distinction between fear versus being afraid or scared. And then there was another conversation where it sounded like fear might actually evoke some emotions, and those emotions might feel like a
right, so it is emotion. So it's
like are
connected
these
to
emotions? They can be.
Yes.
These can be feelings also. What's the difference? A feeling is surface and fleeting. An emotion is deep and lingers.
Okay.
This could go either way, couldn't it?
Yes, good.
Just like anger could. All right, good. Anything else? All right, very good, guys. So we're going to do a quick exercise and then we'll stretch or something, right? Y'all want to do that? You want to stretch or something? Would you like to stretch or something first, then we do the exercise?
Yes.
Let's do that. All right. Why don't we take take 10 minutes?
Oh,
Yeah,
nice.
5 minutes, 10 minutes, like for if you want to use the restroom or what have you, move around. Yeah, we're running right on time, believe it or not. Like I never run on time. There. Me too. Yeah, Young, go have a coffee break.
Hey, sweet pea.
I know. I right next to like 3
After I say hi to Dave. Hey, good boy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
I ran up to the back and I just pounded the shit out of the way and screamed my bloody
No.
out. That was no thought about that. But I'm shaking like a leaf. Oh my God.
I guess I could turn this off, huh?
Backtrack a little bit and get present to love.
Okay.
Get present
There you go.
as an energy. Get present to love as an energy that evokes emotion. And we're going to create a distinction together called a full moment. That's F-U-L-L, full moment. Unlike the F-O-O-L, full moment.
What do we do? Love, what is love?
So what is a full moment? What is a full moment? A full moment is a moment in time that you literally feel full of appreciation. You feel full of gratitude. This is a full moment. And it's an actual time, like an instant. So I'll give you a couple examples personally of a full moment in my own life. So one that I can remember really vividly, and some of you I've shared with before because it's like one of my favorites. So when I was a little boy, second grade, I was in Catholic school. I'm not sure why that matters. But I was in Catholic school, and it seems to matter, but maybe not.
If you went to one, it matters.
Yeah. So anyway, Bondi, for those of you streaming, Bondi has said if you went to one, it does matter. Yeah, it matters. But anyhow, I loved milk. You know, as a kid, I drank a lot of milk. I liked it. So I'm in school, it's lunchtime, and I won't drink the milk. It tasted funny to me. It smelled off, and I just wouldn't drink it. So I'm leaving the lunchroom, and you know, there's a hefty nun at the doorway, and her job is to take every milk carton and go, and make sure you drank your milk. So, of course, I didn't. And she said, drink your milk. And I said, there's something wrong with it. She smells it. There's nothing wrong with it. Go drink it. And I said, no, I wouldn't drink it. Now, I was a good kid. So this was not like me being a brat. It was just like, I thought something was wrong with it. I wasn't going to drink it. So they took me to the principal's office and called my father.
Oh.
Now, my dad was a political official. So not only did he have to come in full uniform in a car, but he had to have 2 other cars escort him to my school because I wouldn't drink my milk. So I'm like scared to death now, distinct from fear.
Yeah.
So Dad comes in, I'm sitting in the principal's office, and he says to the principal, so what's going on? And she said, well, he's lying. Really? What's he lying about? He won't drink his milk. Son, why won't you drink your milk? I said, Dad, there's something wrong with it. It doesn't taste right. And she said, there's nothing wrong with the milk. And my dad said to her, you know, sister, I have 5 boys. And if you had told me that any of the 4 that are at home lied to you, I'd believe you. But this one, he doesn't lie. And in that moment, I felt full, like gotten as a little boy, like he knew me. And it was rich and moving, and it moves me now. Okay, that's a full moment. Another full moment, not as long a story, was when I graduated from high school. And I remember going up for my diploma and looking out and seeing my grandmother, my aunts, my uncles, my mom, my dad, and my little brothers. And I really felt full. I mean, there's a lot of things you could call it, right? But for the distinction's sake, it was full. I felt full. It was a full moment. If there was any other energy that might have been negative or contracting, it disappeared immediately. You get that, right? Mm-hmm. Immediately. That contraction, that kind of energy, couldn't exist in the middle of the full moment. You get that, right? Yes. So what I'd like for you to do with your group is to distinguish 3 full moments. And you might go in turn, or you choose to do it however you want, but I'm going to give you time to get this done. So we're going to start where you'll have about 5 minutes each. And then I'll check in and see if you need more time, and if you need it, we have it. And then we'll do a little more time. But put your whole heart and soul into this exercise, because this is critical to the course getting gotten. Okay? Go ahead.
I should probably turn for Eric off.
Yeah, how about that? How about if I unmute you? Okay, sorry guys. Of course, you know, it's kind of like when you're walking down the street and you just see somebody like talking to themselves. I'm talking to our live streaming. So I had them on mute. The battery was about to die on the phone, so I had to plug it in somewhere. And it was far away from me. Okay, so let's hear a couple of full moments. Who wants to share their full moment? Come on up, Ed. Thank you.
Okay, so when Rasha and I got married, she's lives in Sudan, so we flew over to Sudan and got married.
Thomas, microphone.
What's that?
Microphone.
Oh.
No, for.
For Ed.
Oh, yes. Yes, you do.
Why, they can't hear? They can't hear. Okay.
There you go.
So when we were over Sudan, my dad came with us and my sister, and he did not want to go over there. He thought we were going to kill by terrorists or something. And so we had to really talk him into it. But when we were over there, there's a lot of ceremonies in African weddings. And so one of the ceremonies that was, we were up on the roof of their folks' home. It's like 150 people because it's this giant building they lived in. And there was all this traditional African garb. There was a band playing, and the women were doing this traditional dance and everything. And it was like a henna ceremony for the men. And as I'm dancing and kind of watching all these women are going around, they do that thing, you know. And I turn and look, and my father is circling with this camera. You know, he's holding on this pod, and he's just taping everything. He's crying. He's just like in this circle, just experiencing it all. It's just incredible.
That's great. Got it, Ed. Thank you. Yeah.
So I had the privilege of a year or so ago of working with a young woman who was just about ready to give birth to her second child. And she's the daughter of Deb. And I'm a certified Bowen therapist, so I was working on her with Bowen and helping her getting ready for the delivery. And she had a hard first delivery of her first child, and so she wanted to have this one go really smooth. And so we worked together for about a month, maybe a little bit more. I'm not quite sure of the exact time. And then it was time. And so at the table, I showed the other folks at the table a picture that was sent to me an hour after the delivery of Ari. Yeah. And she was just so thankful, and the delivery went very smooth and very rapid. And it was just like, oh my gosh, it was heaven.
It was a full moment.
It was a very full moment.
It's great.
So, yeah. So thank you.
Thanks, Wade. Awesome. Anybody else? For a moment? Yes, Anya.
So the fullest moment that I think I've ever experienced in my life was 19 years ago, and I remember it so vividly. I feel like often I'm like, I can't remember anything, and like this is just so crystal clear, like it had happened, like 20 minutes ago. And I was driving home. I'd been like at a club or something, and I was near Newcastle, like coming up the hill. And I just was overwhelmed by emotion, and I was raised in a super atheist family, so like my connecting with God has always kind of been the struggle of like, I don't really know if I believe in that and stuff. And I remember like it almost felt like a light just kind of came into my car, and I remember just being connected to something so much greater than myself, and I was like, I really want to have a baby. Like, there was nothing logical about it, like, at all. Like, it was 22, and was dating, like, like some guy I'd met at the bar kind of thing. And it was, like, just really present to, like, this was the most important moment in my life. And it really felt, this sounds a little woo, like, it felt like in that moment I became pregnant. And I went home, and I took a pregnancy test, and I was pregnant. And there was just something about that moment that just, like, there aren't even words for how full it felt and how profound that was. And, like, nothing has ever, nothing's ever felt like that before. And it really was like,
like, I imagine, like, that must be what it felt like for, like, the people who, like, wrote the Bible and, like, you know, if those things actually happened, like, that must have been what it felt like for them to, like, you know, see burning bushes or whatever kind of stuff. Like, wow, like, that was me connecting with Source.
It's great.
Yeah.
Thanks. One more? Nope. Okay. Charlie. Let's take you after Charlie. Thank you, sir.
This experience just happened about 4 or 5 days ago. And I'm the oldest of 6, and my brothers and sisters are starting to look to me. I don't know if leadership's the right thing to describe it, but they're starting to call me and want to talk. Anyways, I was walking through the house the other day, and the phone rang. I picked it up. It was my sister. She goes, "Can I talk to you?" And so I go, "Yeah." So we talked, and she's going through some struggles back east. They're not sure about their business and their house and their kids and just life. So I just listened. And finally she goes, "Okay." She goes, "I'm good." She goes, "Thank you." Wow.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay.
And now Leonard is going to share on behalf of our streamers.
Valerie and Joanne. And myself. Okay. So Valerie was sharing a moment when she was asked to make a comment. She's in seminary now, and she was asked to make a comment on the killings in Orlando, and she was asked to give a mini sermon, a homily, I think is what it's called, and she experienced a full moment then. Joanne experienced a full moment when her mother recently died of cancer. Well, I don't know if it was recently or not, but when her mother died of cancer, there you go. She awoke out of a coma, and she asked her mother, "Do you know who I am?" And her mother replied, "Yes, you're my wonderful daughter, Joanne." She experienced a full moment then. And if you guys know my recent history,
yes,
I experienced a full moment when I've been causing me being here for 2 years, and June 10th, I got the word at 12 noon that I was immediately released, and I go, "Shut up." Full moment.
Great work, great work. So what are you present to? Having dug in, having done this work, what are you present to? Yeah.
The more that we share, the more that comes up. Like, I was having a hard time kind of like really thinking of one. But the more people share, the more I'm like, oh yeah. I mean, I shared that one with Eddie and just like, yeah, it's just beautiful.
Yeah. So would you say that maybe you're present to a kind of aliveness? Would you say the kind of digging in that you were doing, the looking at that you were doing, would you consider it life enhancing?
Yeah, absolutely.
And would you say that those could very well be love as life energy? Very good. Yeah, Susie.
I experience it as love moving.
Susie says she's experienced it as love moving. So, no, that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So we'll have it be energy does move, doesn't it?
Yes.
Unless it gets blocked.
Yes.
So now, if we have life enhancing moments, those moments that enhance our life, we also have life consuming moments. And these are the moments that we will connect to fear. In this exercise, I'm only going to ask you to distinguish one. life-consuming moment. And it's a moment where something really did happen. You understand? It's not like, wow, I could never play baseball. Or, it's not a generalization. It's something happened. And when it happened, it was life-consuming. You could call it a void moment, perhaps. I haven't named this distinction, but I just want you to take a look, if you will, and we're going to do this one a little more quickly, not to rush it. I want you to really look and distinguish a life-consuming moment. Yeah, Deb.
I'm confused.
Okay.
Can you give an example?
Yeah. So, and I hate for it to be something so recent, but I will use something so recent. So when I got the call that Todd had taken his life, that was a life-consuming moment. And don't misunderstand me. There are people, even in this room, that were way closer to Todd than me. So it wasn't about being close or tight. I loved Todd, and I was close to him, as close as I could be without being an actual buddy or friend, But I'm telling you, it took the breath out of me. And I felt void for several days. So that was a life-consuming moment. And if you want to distinguish the two, when you look at life-enhancing, what happened? When I talked to you about my dad and his relationship to me as a little boy, I felt bigger, I felt more alive. I didn't do anything to feel that way. I just felt that way, didn't you? Mm-hmm. So it was very life-enhancing. And then, this, having just said it out loud, I can even feel it in the room for any of you who experienced it or have your own experience of such a thing. You also, in this moment, had a life-consuming moment. And don't worry, we're not going to leave you there. Does that? Thank you. Okay, so let's just take we'll just take 5 minutes total, and I'll check in. And then we'll do 5 minutes more, and I'll check in. Okay, so whatever time you need, we'll make. But just come up with one life-consuming moment, and please begin.
When my dad died, when my ex left me for somebody else, and it was like I left the house and he moved his stuff out and coming home to that house where half of everything was gone.
Oh my gosh.
The whole diving board thing, maybe that was life consuming because it's still,
it's still there.
I still don't want to drop.
I think the experience of loss, especially when I think when my dad died, he was actually the first. I mean, I've had someone else die before he did, and she was a friend, and that was 18, and that was like, holy crap, experiencing a friend die, but it is so much different when a parent dies. And I think the reason for me, the reason why it was so devastating, and that life-altering moment, that moment of void, and the reason why I went through a spiral is because I didn't know who God was, and I related my godness to my father. And when he died, I didn't know God anymore. I didn't know who I was, and when my mother died, that was it.
Yeah.
I was like, and I know there's a lot of people that experience that, or haven't yet, but will experience that.
Yeah.
It's that feeling of the void. When you still have your mother?
I do.
Thank God. And you know, it's just that there's that void, that moment of, and it's and for me, because I was in a family of, it was a dysfunctional family. There was no real sense of who God really was. It was more of, my mom treated my dad like God, like, you know, back in the 50s, 40s and 50s, when, you know, you have this pipe ready and the shoes ready, you have dinner on the table for him, he eats first, you eat last, kind of thing. And it was it's like that, like a God power thing. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
And so that, and so when he died, I actually felt my heart break. I felt it crack. I have never felt that kind of. It brought me to my knees. It was that powerful. I heard people dying because of that. And
that's what they say. People that, you know, truly in love, like, or been married for a really, really long time, whatever, like they die within 6 months.
I'm really surprised. I'm thankful that I didn't die, but I have never felt that before in my whole life. That feeling.
I don't know if that's where you go to, or if
and my ex-husband too. So there's a lot of losses.
Yeah. With my dad, there was, because he suffered from dementia.
Did he?
We lost him twice.
Yeah.
You know, so that's kind of the double whammy. Yeah, so there was the first loss, which was definitely constricting because the relationship, of course, had to change. Oh, I just thought of another full moment. And then, you know, the actual physical loss of him and how really the loss of family as we knew it and that whole dynamic. But I think the more profound loss was my ex leaving, because that, you know, that was also an ego thing, and you know, he chose somebody else, so there was the I'm a failure conversation. I mean, there was so much more to it than just that, and it took a long time to work through that. I mean, I can remember being at work, answering the phone with customers, and just tears rolling down my face, and trying to be cheerful on the phone, or, you know, the three. We never were married. We lived together for 23 years.
Oh my goodness, that's a long time.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah. And we've had full moments since then where we've talked about, you know, things we wished we hadn't done, or,
you're in communication with him still?
Not now. I think he's gotten beyond that, but yeah, he didn't want kids, and after we split up, he never wanted to get married and have kids. And, you know,
he got married and had kids.
Has everybody distinguished? No, go ahead, please.
So that would probably be the more profound, because Dad, I mean, although I miss my dad terribly, it wasn't. It was kind of a good thing at the time, you know. It was like, it made sense. It was like just sort of a circle of life experience, if you will, just that.
You know, another one for me is when I realized that I was going to lose my husband and my ex-husband, and I was married to him for 20 years.
Yeah, that's, well, it's like the happily ever after. got stolen. You know, it's like there's a whole thing around that. But God, I had this other full moment that showed up, and then what is it? I don't know. It just left again. It'll come back. Oh, water pistols. So I gotta write that down so I remember. So the last Father's Day with my dad.
Oh, we're recording this.
Yeah.
People hearing us talk about. Oh well.
We love you, Eric. The last Father's Day with my dad. Didn't know what to get in, and it was.
Everybody got one?
Came home with.
Is there anybody who did not distinguish one? Okay, good. So tell me, what is your experience right now? Depressed?
Yeah.
Exhausted. It's very tiring.
Really
isn't it?
Heavy.
So what does it feel like? One could say love as life energy feels life enhancing. It feels like aliveness. Agreed?
Yeah. And
then what you just did takes energy away. Or does it? I want you to consider this possibility. Love as life energy. Fear.
Your thing.
What?
Oh, he's fine.
What are you talking about?
You got it.
Okay, all right. You know how I love when you shout at me. All right, I'm going to use this one after this. Okay, so love as life energy and fear. Now, earlier Consuela said, consider love energy as the only thing that's real. You all didn't hear Leonard, and I'm sure most of you over the years, I've said this a bunch of times, and you've probably heard it from a bunch of places. Fear as an acronym, false evidence appearing real. Yes. So fear is an illusion, but listen, false evidence appearing real, if it appears real, it is real to the mind in the matter. So it makes no difference, true or false, right? It makes no difference. The impact on one's life is still there, which is life consuming. Let's try on and consider fear as a block.
Stuck energy.
To life energy. Got it? Now, for tonight's sake, you don't have to dig too much with fear, except that I want you to regard it as an energy, but an energy that's conflictive to life energy, just for the sake of tonight. Can you do that? So the whole thing about it being afraid or scared, we have that distinct. Can you do that? Can you have it be distinct? Mm-hmm. Not collapse the three together, have afraid or scared in one category of fearful, and then fear as a block to life energy in a whole different distinction. Can you do that?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if there's love and fear, and that's what we've distinguished so far, and if fear is a block, and if all we want is life enhancement, and all we want is aliveness ongoing, then wouldn't it make sense that we want to remove the block? So what's the access to removing the block?
Love.
No. Everybody knows it.
Embracing.
Embracing it? Yeah, you know, there is an embracing it, but it comes from a different angle. Just hang on to that because it will fit. Yeah?
Allowing.
There's the allowing, same as embracing, which is true, yeah.
Forgiveness.
Yeah, forgiveness, but not just any kind of forgiveness. See, because just like love has a multitude of definitions and distinctions and ways to regard it, and fear has. Forgiveness also does. So what is forgiveness? I could say, Ray, I forgive you for whatever it is you did that pissed me off. How you feel? You're forgiven. And you notice I'm standing above you. Sometimes forgiveness has a superiority to it. Almost a little angle of control. You had something, Jude?
I was going to say accepting what is.
There's accepting what is a kind of forgiveness but it is, okay, yes. I'm not going to, yes, we'll use it. It'll all come together in a moment. Yes, Susan.
Give up the right to resent and hold against whoever you're not forgiving.
Well, see, this is the thing. There is a kind of forgiveness where I'm offering it out. I'm offering it to others. You did something, and I'm now going to forgive you. Or I did something, and I want you to forgive me. There is that kind of forgiveness, and it's not what we're distinguishing here. Will they go together? I think they will. But what I want to get distinguished here is forgiveness like atonement. What is atonement?
Balance.
Did you say balance? Balance? Maybe.
To make up for.
To make up for. Atonement literally says, I'm reversing everything. That's atonement. It's a whole different kind of forgiveness. It's true forgiveness. It is the kind of forgiveness that, if you break it apart, it is at one minute. It dissolves separation. I did that to entertain you, Robert. So if I want to bring forgiveness as the thing that dissolves the block, which allows life energy to flow again, how do I bring that about? Any idea?
Joe.
Wait.
Well, the forgiveness also, it's forgiving yourself.
And what would you forgive yourself for, Wade?
Well, the at one minute is like just really forgiving yourself for what that was.
For believing in the separation.
For separation. For not being.
See, because there is no real separation. I spelled that wrong, I know, but there's no real separation. Lisa?
Well, it's kind of the same thing. I've had the experience of forgiveness, and it's not the concept of being nice and all that.
Right.
So it's not the bygones be bygones. It's inside of responsibility, and it's not getting it conceptually. I had to get it experientially that nothing's happening to me; it's happening for me, and that I could only understand it from a bigger tapestry, and that it's really like if there is no separation, it's really like what's happening in the world of fear and away from the victim mentality is there's only me and me. So it's kind of like the world is an occurring world inside of kind of me and me, and so it shows up inside of who I'm being. It's inside of responsibility that real forgiveness happens.
Okay.
Like I think the biggest, I did radical forgiveness, like it really is, and I've had the experience of things happening to me and then getting that it actually, maybe really woo-woo, but that things happen for an agreement for me and it's all inside of my awakening, and when I can get that experientially, everything is an opening to love.
Exactly, because if love is the only thing there is, and love is life energy, and fear is the thing that blocks life energy, then I have to have something that can help to dissolve the fear. And if fear's not real, what I'm forgiving myself for is believing the lie.
Yep.
And when one is forgiven, so if I forgive me authentically, when one is forgiven, forgiveness becomes a privilege. Yeah, Kathy.
I have grandchildren. I have a couple of step-grandchildren, and they've had a very comfortable, wealthy life, and they're now living, like big houses and that kind of thing. They're now living basically in a trailer park. Their parents made some decisions, and they're living the decisions, and they're not happy about it. And I was just with them, the 16 and 14-year-old, and they were so negative. The 16-year-old was saying these are smart kids, 1.9 grade point average, and the reason is because she doesn't do her work. And she's so angry, but it was an assault. I spent a couple hours with them. I took them to the store and whatever, and the 14-year-old was a real positive, sunshiny little guy. His nickname was Shine. He's now 14 and 5'10" and 200 pounds, But he was turning on the radio. He changed the station to rap. And he says, "Oh, this is okay music, and it's no cussing." Okay, great. It was a menage a trois, sex immediately, a whole bunch of things, and this has been one of the sweetest, most innocent kids. I mean, he's 14 and male, but I mean, it's after an hour and a half with them, and the girl had just been not arrested, but held by the police with a cousin for drinking. She wasn't too bad, but they didn't arrest her, but still, so this episode, so she was bragging about what she liked in alcohol and all the, I'm like, oh boy. So by the time I was done with them, I wasn't really being critical. I was just a lot of, fear. I want to say fear.
It is fear. See, because the fear
Yeah.
is underneath every, without exception, fear is underneath every life-consuming experience. And our job over the next 9 weeks, and for those of you who are with us tonight, your job when you go to bed tonight, is to start to drill down into what is that fear. And I don't want you to bring it up now, because now, it's a whole new conversation. You can get that, right? Yeah. But at least it's starting to open up. And you can start to see fear in a different way. And are you now seeing forgiveness in a different way?
Yes.
Perfect. So what we're going to do together now, if you will, bring to mind one of your full moments. Right this moment, bring to mind one of your full moments. And if you would, without telling the whole story, you get 30 seconds to create it for your table. Because they've already heard it. So you might say, like for me, I'm recreating my graduation. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. See, 30 seconds. Maybe it took 10 seconds. Will you do that? So do that now. Just share one full moment that you're going to capture right now. Am I not making sense?
A water pistol fight on Father's
You have
Day.
your full moments. Choose one.
No, I don't know.
Say which one you're choosing.
I guess when my mom said she wanted to be my granddaughter.
I love that.
Everybody got one? Spit it out.
I don't understand how that
Crunch time.
Oh, yeah.
Turbo full moment.
Turbo, baby. Got it? Got it? All right, bring to mind your full moment. And I want you to allow yourself to feel the appreciation and the gratitude. I want you to allow yourself to feel it right now, please. And then as you feel it, I want you to hold on to the feeling, the appreciation, the gratitude, the fullness. Hold on to that and let go of the story. Let go of the story and just hold on to the experience of the fullness. Everybody with me? Take your right hand and just put it over your heart, and you're going to gently but deeply breathe into your heart space. And you're breathing in appreciation and gratitude. Gently but deeply. Breathe it in. I'll keep talking, but you're going to breathe gently but deeply. And you're going to breathe out the purity and quality of who you really are. On the in-breath, gratitude and appreciation. Allow yourself to feel the fullness. Breathe into your heart as though you really could, and then breathe out the purity and quality of who you really are. And one more time, breathe in appreciation and gratitude, and breathe out the purity and quality of who you really are. Perfect. Thank you. And who you are is pure love, life energy. That is who you are. So what we just did is called the Bliss Point exercise. And one of your assignments will be to do the Bliss Point at least once a day, every day for the next 7 days until our next session. Okay? Some people think it's a breathing exercise. It is not a breathing exercise, though you're breathing. It is a heart consciousness exercise. I want you to get very conscious of your heart space, and that's what's going to happen if you'll do it at least once a day. Okay? Any questions about that?
And so we're breathing in gratitude.
And it's going to be written for you, so don't worry.
Oh, okay.
You're breathing in gratitude and appreciation. It's not written there, but it's on their email. And you're breathing out the purity and quality of who you really are. You get it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so was that life enhancing? It was quick, wasn't it? Yeah. So we moved very quickly from a life-consuming experience that we all created together in the room and transformed it into a life-enhancing one. Get that? Okay, so that's having your hands on the levers and dials of energy. And we're just practicing. But imagine when we keep up these kinds of practices, and they will change every class. So you'll have something different to tip into, okay? So, Charlie, if you'll come up, you're going to distinguish the assignments, right? And one thing that's occurred to me. Check your spam. I send these out in a group email. It's very possible yours might get thrown into spam. Okay? And if you don't have if you're in this course and you don't have an email from me at midnight tonight, then you reach out to me tomorrow and say, I didn't get it and I checked my spam. Yes, Ray?
And people are visiting tonight also, can I get an email?
The people who are visiting tonight, I will send you the email also, but just know that there are some things that you may not want to do because they are continuous. But you'll check it and see whatever you want, but you'll get the email also. Okay, check your spam. I want to make sure there's nothing else before I turn it over to you. Okay, I think we're good. Go.
Give my phone. So these are the classes, our assignments for this class. Purchase Love is Letting Go of Fear by Gerald Japolsky and read through page 48.
Okay.
And here's the book right here.
So.
Does he need that?
Does he need that?
Oh, I got you. Yes, he does. Oh, but you know we both do, so we're going to have to do this. Okay. All right, so Ed brought it up that, we're going to ask you to get the book. You can get it electronically on Amazon. You can also buy the book and it'll get shipped to you. And we want you to read through page 48. But you may not get the book fast enough. There's all kinds of things that could get in the way. get the book, read it whenever you get it. But do the assignment. I went through and I created the lessons with detail. So that if you weren't able to read, you at least know the lesson that you're going to have. He's going to tell you in a moment. Okay? Are you good with that? So buy the book as soon as you can. And don't sweat it if you're not able to get through page 48 by next Thursday. Any questions about that?
What's
Can you read the title?
It's called Love is Letting Go of Fear.
Who's the author?
By Gerald Jampowski, MD. And I also, on your email that you'll get tonight, there's a link to Amazon to get it. Okay?
Perfect.
Yes, Tanya.
So it is available as an audiobook in case anybody cares.
Yes, audio. Yeah, but the only thing about audio in this case, don't get the audio. Well, you won't be upset about it when you start reading it. There's lots of big pictures in this book.
Okay.
And of course, now I can't open to any of the freaking pictures. Go ahead.
There's a different experience.
This particular, you're going to need print.
You're going to want to read it.
You're going to want print.
That's coaching.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
The second assignment is do the Bliss Point exercise daily.
At least once a day. You can do it as many times as you like. It takes 3 minutes. Okay.
And then lastly, think of yourself as a giver and receiver of love. Look around and be a neutral witness to the basic love energy that shapes you.
That shapes you.
See and feel it everywhere.
Feel it. I want you to feel, what does that energy feel like? Like, it's not a feeling that you could even express. You understand if I say, Deb, so what does that love energy feel like? She could give me lots of things like, oh, it feels like this or that. But in reality, she can't tell me what it feels like. Just like everybody in here knows what it feels like to touch a fire, to touch a burning stove. Everybody knows what it feels like. The only way you can express it is to say, oh, well, it's hot. It hurt. It burned. But there's a feeling that you know that does not have words for me to know what it really felt like for Susie to get burned. Get it? That's the feeling you're looking for. What does it feel like? Love energy. Get it? Okay, cool.
Be accepting, forgiving, and unconditional in your loving kindness.
To yourself.
Breathe love in through all your cells and let it pass through you.
If all you are is energy, the only way you're going to get in touch with the energy you are, other than the logical knowledge of it, is to get in touch with the, I'm going to say trillion, I don't know how many cells are in a human body. Is trillions right, or is it billions or millions?
It's
Trillion. Okay, good. I had to look around so somebody could help me. Get in touch with the trillions of cells that make up your human body and be conscious that every single cell has its own unique consciousness. Each one a little teeny life of its own, separate yet connected to you. You want to start getting in touch with energy, start feeling, what does that feel like? That aliveness, each one independent yet collective. It's crazy. Okay.
So I'm going to reread that sentence. Breathe love in through all your cells and let it pass through you, touching every part and lighting you up. Then send love on its way, giving it generously.
Okay, so that was a whole lot of stuff to say. I like it. Just lay love on everybody. Just lay love on everybody. You know, like right now, I'm laying love on you. I'm laying love on you. Laying love on you. So what does it mean to lay love on somebody? Well, we don't know. We have a conceptual view. We want to take that conceptual view and turn it into an experiential view. What does it take? What do I have to let go of that I can lay love on you? What's in the way? And whatever's in the way, am I able to drill it down to the fundamental fear that it is? The fundamental fear that maybe you don't love me back. The fundamental fear that maybe I don't belong. Something fundamentally underneath all of it as the block that might stop me from laying love on you. Get it? Good work. Okay. Anything that anybody wants to share to complete the evening? Any questions? Yeah, please.
I can't remember
Here,
quite.
put this on.
I can't remember quite where we were, but we were talking about our experience of removing the blocks.
Yes.
And what I got present to was wholeness, is feeling whole.
Nice. Yep. Well, you know, when you consider, right? When you consider life enhancing, that would be wholeness. Very, very good. Okay. Anybody else? Anything to wrap up the evening? So those of you who...
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Those of you who joined us for tonight, thank you for being here. If you want to register for the rest of the series, of course, for tonight it's $150 and we'll take the $20 off that you paid to be here. Thank you, sir. And if you don't, we just really appreciate you and thank you for joining us. Everybody, as you know, the emails related to this course will have in capital letters quantum in the subject. Why am I telling you that? Because there will be other promotional emails going out, and I don't want anybody confused. Like, for instance, our next free monthly conference call, which is called, the title of it is Love is Misunderstood, will be on Sunday, August 21st at 6 p.m. And there will be an email that goes out about that. There will be text messages going on about that. I'll go knocking on people's doors, inviting them. I'll send out notes and cards. So I just don't want you to think, wait a minute, we just had our... Don't get confused. You're invited to those, and they're not this course. Cool? All right. Really appreciate you guys. Great, great work. I look forward to being with you next Thursday. Good night. Declare complete.
Well, this is going to be quite an entertaining course.
Huh?
This is going to be quite an entertaining course.
Yes. Thanks, guys.
I don't know what I expect.
So anyway, with Super
Yes.
I actually love my query letter. I finally got my query letter complete.
What's a query letter?
Okay, query letter. Well, first of all, I had to get to a completion of Super Peak, and what happened was that I realized Sidekick is a computer. Sidekick. I was calling it Chloe, and I got to, little boys are not going to like a computer called Chloe.
No.
And I was like, and I got that the computer name is Gizmo. Because Gizmo's some gadgets, you know, watches, and computer glasses, and Gizmo's and gadgets. And I was like, oh, Gizmo 8000 is his name. And it just all started flowing better.
Yeah.
And then so I concluded that the story is complete now. And then I started working on the query letter. The query letter is the letter that you send out for agents to read about the story. You know, what's going on, you know, what's about.
Like the synopsis.
Yes, exactly. Who I am and all that. And I just finished it tonight. There's a couple of things that I need to do. And I have a whole list of people that I'm going to be sending it out to. And, you know,
oh, that